Hi there, and welcome back to the Scriptcase macros course for another video. This video covers the SE-exit macro. So let's go ahead and look at what this does. This macro determines the procedures for exiting an application's current execution. So there's a few different ways we can manage this and control what is done. So let's go ahead and look at the documentation for how this is done. So let me get out of this presentation and go ahead over to the documentation here. So here's all the Scriptcase macros all documented. Let's go down to control and find SE-exit. There it is. So there it is, and we can just pass in an option to tell it what we want to do. So here's all the options, and then there's some more options here if it's a form application or a control application, and we want to mess with transactions a little bit. And so we can just tell it to initially either just return to the previous application or display an OK button and then return. Otherwise, we can tell it to reload the current application and just repeat the select statement, or we can tell it to refresh the current application. So this is going to refresh it. So if there's new data, it's going to reload that new data. So maybe you want to refresh a grid or something. And then there's some options here to display an OK button and do both of those other options. So that's kind of added on to the return to the current application or the refresh options there. So I've got a grid here. Let me go ahead and run this to show you what it looks like. Just a basic grid. And we're going to put a button up here on the top to exit with these different options. So we're going to go to buttons and new button right here. And I'm going to call it exit. And make it a PHP button. Click create on that. And let's go ahead and copy just our basic exit with an OK button. So this is going to return to the previous application. And of course, in this run environment, the previous application is the development environment. So it's going to return actually to this development environment. So let me click exit. There's an OK button. Click OK. And then actually returns to the development environment there. But that would return, if it was linked to from something else, it would return to that previous application. Let's do the SE-exit refresh here. So I'm going to copy that. So SE-exit ref. Let me run this. And I'm going to show you something. So this keeps the current select statement. So if we choose one of these refined search options here, and then we click exit, it's going to refresh, but it still has the same refined search all set over here. So if there's new data, it would show up, but it's still within that same where on the query. Let's do it with the SEL option now. So this is just going to return to it, but not refresh the data itself. So execute that here. And I can select something from the refined search again. It's going to keep it, click exit, and it reloads without any new data, but the refined search is still set up as we would expect. So those are the different options for exiting an application, either a grid or a form or control application if you wanted to do something with transactions to roll those back or keep them. But that is how you exit an application with custom logic using Scriptcase.